In the annals of history, few documents resonate with the enduring power and significance of the Magna Carta. This great charter was not born from scholarly debate or philosophical discourse, but from the crucible of political turmoil. To understand its origin, one must look to the reign of King John of England, a monarch whose rule was defined by crisis and conflict. Ascending to the throne in November 99, John inherited a vast but unstable empire. His reputation was immediately tarnished by his ruthless methods and questionable claim to the crown over his nephew, Arthur Duttor. King John's reign was plagued by military failures, most notably the loss of significant territories in France. These losses were not just a blow to his prestige, but also a severe drain on the royal treasury. To finance his ambitions and reclaim his lost lands, John resorted to increasingly oppressive and arbitrary methods of taxation. He levied scutage, a payment made by feudal landholders in lieu of military service, at an unprecedented rate. The barons of England, the kingdom's most powerful landholders, found their wealth and patience dwindling. John's conflict with the church, which led to his excommunication by Pope Innocent III, further eroded his authority. For several years, England was placed under a papal interdict, meaning religious services like marriages and burials were forbidden. This created widespread discontent among the general populace, adding to the simmering resentment against the king. By 1214, following another failed military campaign in France, the northern barons had reached their breaking point. They renounced their feudal ties to the king, an act of open rebellion. The rebels, styling themselves the Army of God, marched on London, which opened its gates to them in May 1215. With his capital lost and his authority shattered, King John was forced to negotiate. The two sides met in a meadow called Runnymede, situated by the River Thames. On June 15, 1215, after intense negotiations, King John affixed his royal seal to a document known as the Articles of the Barons. This document, after further refinement, would become the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was not a declaration of rights for all people. It was a peace treaty to address the specific grievances of the feudal elite. However, embedded within its 63 clauses were principles of profound and lasting importance. Perhaps the most revolutionary idea was that the king himself was subject to the rule of law. Clause 39 famously stated that no free man shall be seized or imprisoned or stripped of his rights or possessions without the lawful judgment of his equals or by the law of the land. This clause laid the foundation for the right to due process and trial by jury. Another key provision, Clause 40, declared, "To no one will we sell, to no one deny or delay right or justice." This was a direct challenge to the king's practice of selling judicial offices and accepting bribes. The charter also sought to limit the king's ability to levy taxes without consent. Clause 12 stipulated that no scutage or aid could be imposed without the general consent of our realm. This established a precedent for the principle of no taxation without representation. The Magna Carta also guaranteed the freedom of the English Church from royal interference. It standardized weights and measures, which was crucial for fair trade and commerce. To ensure compliance, a council of 25 barons was established to monitor the king and enforce the charter's terms. This council had the power to seize royal castles and lands if John violated the agreement. However, the peace secured at Runnymede was short-lived. King John had no real intention of honoring the charter, which he viewed as an affront to his divine authority. He swiftly appealed to Pope Innocent III, who declared the Magna Carta null and void. The Pope's annulment plunged England back into civil war, known as the First Barons' War. The conflict came to an abrupt turn with King John's death in October 1216. His death removed the primary obstacle to peace and the main target of the barons' hatred. John's 9-year-old son, Henry III, ascended to the throne, regents governing for the young king, led by the respected William Marshal, sought to win back the support of the rebellious barons. To achieve this, they reissued the Magna Carta in 1216, albeit with some of the more radical clauses removed. The charter was reissued again in 1217 and, most importantly, in 1225 by Henry III himself. This 1225 version became the definitive text and was entered into England's official statute roll. Over the following centuries, the Magna Carta was repeatedly confirmed by subsequent monarchs. It transformed from a failed peace treaty into a potent symbol of liberty and the rule of law. Lawyers and parliamentarians began to interpret its clauses in broader, more abstract terms. The phrase "free man" was gradually understood to apply to a wider segment of the population, not just the feudal elite. Sir Edward Coke, a prominent 17th century jurist, used the Magna Carta to challenge the divine right of kings. He argued that the charter was a fundamental law that even the monarch could not override. Coke's interpretation heavily influenced the development of English common law. The principles of the Magna Carta were carried across the Atlantic to the American colonies. Colonists saw themselves as inheritors of the rights and liberties guaranteed by the charter. When they felt these rights were being violated by the British Crown, they cited the Magna Carta in their protests. The slogan, "No taxation without representation," directly echoed the sentiments of Clause 12. The Magna Carta's influence is clearly visible in the United States Declaration of Independence. The U.S. Constitution and its Bill of Rights also drew heavily from the Charter's principles. The Fifth Amendment's guarantee of due process of law is a direct descendant of Magna Carta's Clause 39. The right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury also has its roots in the Great Charter. Throughout the world, the Magna Carta has inspired movements for freedom and constitutional government. It was cited by Nelson Mandela during his trial in 1964 as he fought against apartheid in South Africa. Eleanor Roosevelt, in helping to draft the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, described it as a Magna Carta for all mankind. Today, most of the specific clauses of the 1215 Magna Carta have been repealed from English law. Their original context, rooted in the feudal system of the 13th century, is no longer relevant. However, the symbolic power of the Magna Carta remains undiminished. It stands as a universal symbol against arbitrary rule and oppression. It represents the fundamental idea that power must have limits. The story of the Magna Carta is a testament to the long and arduous struggle for liberty. It reminds us that the rights we often take for granted were won through defiance and negotiation. From a meadow in England in 1215, its legacy has spread across 8 centuries and around the globe. The Magna Carta was not the end of the struggle, but a crucial beginning. It established a precedent that would be built upon by future generations. The Charter's survival and revival are as important as its creation. Without the actions of William Marshal, the document might have become a mere historical footnote. Its journey from a practical solution to an abstract symbol is the key to its longevity. The document's vague wording in key clauses allowed for reinterpretation over time. This flexibility ensured its relevance far beyond the feudal context of its birth. The Magna Carta demonstrates that democracy is not a static achievement but an ongoing process. It is a conversation between the past and the present about the nature of justice and freedom. The Charter's initial failure serves as a crucial lesson in political reality. It shows that ideals must be defended and fought for, not just written down. The barons of 1215 were not democrats in the modern sense. They were protecting their own interests. Yet, in doing so, they unleashed a principle that would ultimately benefit all. The Magna Carta is a powerful reminder that even the most powerful can be held accountable. Its legacy is not just in dusty archives, but in the very fabric of modern democratic societies. The Charter's clauses on the rights of widows were progressive for their time. It stated that a widow should not be compelled to marry against her will. This provided a small but significant step towards women's rights. The Charter also addressed the issue of royal forests and their unjust administration. These forests had been a source of revenue and resentment under King John. Charter of the Forest, issued alongside the Magna Carta in 1217, expanded on these rights. It granted freemen access to the forests, a vital economic resource. This companion charter is sometimes overlooked but was crucial for the common person. The evolution of Parliament was intrinsically linked to the Magna Carta's principles. The need for the common consent of the realm for taxation led to the regular summoning of representative councils. These councils gradually evolved into the House of Commons. The Magna Carta provided the foundational argument for parliamentary authority over the monarch. The document's physical journey is as fascinating as its political one. Only 4 original copies of the 1215 Charter survive today. Each copy was written by hand on a sheepskin parchment. They are housed in the British Library and the cathedrals of Lincoln and Salisbury. These fragile documents are a tangible link to a pivotal moment in history. The Charter's text was written in abbreviated medieval Latin. It was not intended to be read by the general public, but by officials and nobles. The name Magna Carta was not used until 1217 to distinguish it from the smaller Charter of the Forest. The myth of the Magna Carta is, in some ways, more powerful than its reality. It was not signed, but sealed, as King John was likely illiterate. The idea of a single, dramatic signing ceremony at Runnymede is a later invention. The document was a product of negotiation, not a sudden revelation. Despite these myths, the Charter's core message of limited government endures. It serves as a constitutional check on the abuse of power. The Charter's influence can be seen in the legal systems of numerous Commonwealth countries. Its principles are part of the DNA of constitutional liberty worldwide. The 800th anniversary in 2015 saw global celebrations of its legacy. These celebrations reaffirmed its importance in the 21st century. The struggle between state power and individual rights continues today. In this context, the Magna Carta is more relevant than ever. It is a touchstone for those who believe in justice and human dignity. The document began as a pragmatic bargain to avert a civil war. It became an eternal declaration of the rights of the governed. The Baron's selfish demands contained the seeds of universal freedoms. The Charter's power lies in its adaptability and its symbolic resonance. It is a testament to the idea that no one is above the law. This single, powerful principle is the Magna Carta's greatest gift to democracy. The Charter's impact on the concept of habeas corpus is monumental. This legal action requires a person under arrest to be brought before a judge. It prevents the state from imprisoning people indefinitely without cause. This protection flows directly from the spirit of Clause 39. The Charter's influence extended to the English Bill of Rights of 1689. This bill further limited the power of the monarchy and strengthened Parliament. The Magna Carta was a crucial first step on a long road. It was a product of its time, yet it became timeless. Its story is one of unintended consequences and aspirational reinterpretations. The document is a cornerstone of the unwritten constitution of the United Kingdom. It affirms the liberty of the individual against the power of the state. From a rebellion of angry barons came a revolution in governance. The Magna Carta remains a beacon of hope for oppressed people everywhere. It is a foundational text for the very idea of a free society. Its enduring legacy is the triumph of law over absolute power.